Hey there, my intellects. My name is Krista Lewis, and I welcome you to my YouTube channel. Here you will find stories about intellectual, inspirational, and history making individuals. If you're interested in that, tag along with me. I promise you're going to enjoy this storytelling ride. Kuan Yew was a Singaporean barrister and statesman who served as the first Prime Minister of Singapore between 1959 and 1990, and the Secretary General of the People's Action Party between 1954 and 1992. He was the Member of Parliament for Tanjong Pagar from 1955 until his death in 2015. Lee has been widely recognized as the founding father of Singapore for his leadership in turning a poor country into a developed country and from an island of mudflats and swamps into a thriving metropolis. Lee was born at home on September 16, 1923. He was the first child of his parents at 92 Kampong Java Road in Singapore, then part of the British Empire. Both of Lee's parents were English educated third generation straight Chinese, with his paternal side being of Hakka descent from Dabu County. He was named Kuan Yew, meaning light and brightness, alternately meaning bring great glory to one's ancestors. Lee's paternal grandfather, who was described as especially westernized, had worked on British ships as a pursuer, and hence gave Lee the Western name Harry. While the family spoke English as its first language, Lee also learned Malay. Lee would have three brothers and one sister, all of whom lived till old age. Lee was not close to his father, who worked as a storekeeper within the Shell Oil Company and had a gambling addiction. His mother would often stand up against her husband for his poor fiscal management and parenting skills. The family was considered prosperous, with a high social standing compared to recent immigrants, and had the expenses to hire servants. During the Great Depression, the family fortunes declined considerably, though Lee's father retained his job at Shell. Later in life, Lee describes his father as a man with a nasty temper and credited his mother with holding the family together amidst her husband's gambling addiction. In 1930, Lee enrolled at Telokara English School, where he spent 6 years of his primary education. Attending Raffles Institution in 1935, Lee did poorly in his first 2 years but later topped the junior Cambridge examinations. He also joined the Scouts and partook in several physical activities and debates. Lee was the top scorer in the senior Cambridge examination in 1940 across the Strait Settlements and Malaya, gaining the John Anderson Scholarship to attend Raffles College. During the prize awarding ceremony, Lee met his future wife, Kuan Yew. She was the only girl at the school. His subsequent university studies at Raffles College was disrupted by the onset of World War II in Asia, with the school being converted into a medical facility in 1941. The war arrived in December of that year, and following the British surrender in February 1942, the Japanese occupation of Singapore began. During the Japanese occupation, Lee escaped being the victim of a purge before subsequently starting his own businesses while working as an administration service officer for the Japanese Propaganda Office. After World War II ended, Lee briefly attended the London School of Economics before transferring to Fitzwilliam College, Cambridge to study law, graduating in 1947. He was called to the bar from the Middle Temple in 1950. After return to Singapore, he practiced as an advocate and solicitor whilst campaigning for the British to relinquish their colonial rule. Lee co-founded the People's Action Party in 1954 and won his first seat at the Tanjong Pagar division during the 1955 general election. He became the de facto opposition leader in parliament to Chief Ministers David Marshall and Lim Yew Hock of the Labour Front. Lee led his party to its first electoral victory in 1959 and was appointed as the state's first prime minister. To attain complete home rule from Britain, Lee campaigned for a merger with other former British territories in a national referendum to form Malaysia in 1963. Racial strife and ideological differences later led to Singapore's expulsion from Malaysia and subsequent independence in 1965, less than 2 years after the merger.
With overwhelming parliamentary control at every general election, Lee oversaw Singapore's transformation into a developed country with a high income economy within his premiership.
In the process, he forged a highly effective anti corrupt government and civil service. Lee ensured populist policies in favor of long term social and economic planning, championing civic nationalism through meritocracy and multiracialism as governing policies, making English the lingua franca to integrate its immigrant society and to facilitate trade with the world, while mandating bilingualism in schools to preserve the students' mother tongue and ethnic identity.
Lee stepped down as Prime Minister in 1990 but remained in the cabinet under his successors, holding the appointments of Senior Minister until 2004, then Minister Mentor until 2011. He died of pneumonia on March 23, 2015, at the age of 91. In a week of national mourning, about 1.7 million residents and world leaders made tribute to him as he's lying in state at Parliament House and community tribute sites. An advocate of Asian values and a proponent of pragmatism, Lee's premiership, especially in the West, was described as being semi authoritarian and characterized as a sort of a hybrid regime or a guided democracy. Critics have accused him of curtailing press freedoms, imposing narrow limits on public protests, restricting labor movements from industrial or strike action through anti union legislation and co option, and bringing defamation lawsuits against prominent political opponents. However, others argue his actions as having been necessary for the country's early development and that he was a benevolent dictator. Wise words of the great Lee Kuan Yew: a nation is great not by its size alone. It is the will, the cohesion, the stamina, the discipline of its people, and the quality of their leaders which ensure it an honorable place in history.
And there we have it. We've reached the end of our video. Thanks again, my little intellects, for watching this. If you enjoyed my short tale of Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, please leave some support by liking, commenting, or subscribing, including sharing with family and friends. I'll really appreciate the support. That's it for now. Bye bye.